X-Men has an incredible legacy. It's almost 60 years old, or over 60 years old, and you know we we love these characters. Every single person that worked on the show loves these characters, knows these characters, and is a fan of the original series. For me personally, the original show was seminal and influential on my life as a storyteller and a creator, and it's true among so many filmmakers we meet with, that the original show is influential on them and their work, and it's just exciting to bring it to the screen. So from the beginning, we wanted to emulate our memory of the original show. So the original series, it actually has stylistic shifts throughout each season if you watch it all in a row, and we analyzed it. We met with Eric and Julia Leewald and Larry Houston, who became consultants on the show, and really were able to explain why they made the choices they made that led to the aesthetic of the original series. And it was on us to create stylistic guardrails so that we could always go back to that 90s style of soft curves and big muscles and too many packs and straps and big bold colors that made it feel like the OG show. They're characters that fight for a world that fears and hates them. So there's a lot of conflict and angst just inherently in the story, because they want to be accepted by society, and it's a society that sees them as a threat. There's a lot of self-evaluation and soul searching that happens within these characters just because of their predicament at the time and place that they live on the planet. But because they're together, because they're in a school, because they're in a space, because they work on a team, there's a lot of character drama. There's a lot of romance. There's a lot of tension, and there's a lot of conflict that happens between characters that we love. And one of the things that makes the X-Men is how many sparks they make when they collide with each other. So the series picks up just after Charles Xavier is presumed dead. He was assassinated, and if you know the original show, you know that he never actually dies on screen. In fact, he's launched into outer space to go visit Lilandra, his Empress girlfriend on a faraway planet, to see if they can heal him. And in our first episode, we see that there's actually a death certificate for Charles Xavier, and it leaves Cyclops in a place where he has to lead the team, and he does so successfully. But in an ironic twist, which is very X-Men, turns out Charles Xavier left the school and all his fortune and the team to his old friend and biggest rival, Magneto, who becomes the new leader of the X-Men. So the episodes progress, week by week, and there are no insignificant episodes. It's a 10-episode series. Each one moves the story forward in a bold way. So it feels like, just like the original series, which was the first serialized piece of content that I ever saw, there was you had to watch the next episode to find out what happened. That's the way X-Men 97 is designed as well. So it's an intentionally retro style. We are trying to emulate the 90s. And it's easier said than done. We live in, and make work in 2024 where almost anything we can conceive of can be conjured on screen. So through many conversations with the original show creators and our design team, we were always arcing ourselves back to the 90s. We're for example, we're all fans of anime, and it's very easy to kind of go in a very angular direction and a very dynamic kind of like deep space choreography, and we had to put limiters on ourselves to make it feel like the old show. That meant curves, that meant bold lines, that meant flat space, and not moving on the Z-axis unless we really had to. Now we break those rules all the time, but we break those rules with a lot of intention. So for example, in the first episode, when the jet gets ripped open by a Sentinel and Cyclops flies out, suddenly we move in deep space, and it just brings the whole thing to life in this impactful way. So we have kind of a code of ethics, and then we intentionally break it when we need to emphasize something to kind of have a massive impact. So the Newton brothers, they're amazing musicians. They are like everyone else on this show. They love the X-Men, and they love that original series. So when we met with them, it became very clear very quickly that they were the right guys for the job. And they obviously reworked and reorchestrated throughout the series that iconic X-Men theme, but they also took in the entire score from the original series and were able to modernize it and enhance it in certain ways. But like the art style, we're going for a feeling, we're going for a vibe, and had to we're guided by the same light we all were, which was to revive our memories of this thing. There's a lot that's going to surprise fans about the new series. The story has twists and turns that you don't see coming. It has extreme highs and extreme lows. It makes you laugh and it makes you cry. I mean, there's episodes that I've seen, over a dozen times, and I still cry when I watch them. So there's lots to surprise audiences with this one. So there's no better way to launch the Marvel animation branding than with X-Men. It was a show that was so fundamental to so many artists and creators that we've worked with over the years. As an animated show, it was one of the most influential shows for a lot of people, in my generation. And I can't think of a more fitting way to reveal the Marvel animation logo. I remember when we first met with the Leewalds, they told us, that they met with Stan Lee when they made the original show, and Stan, how much Stan supported them, and that they would talk about how when he and Jack launched the book in the 60s, many of those social problems that the X-Men deal with in their story existed in the 90s, 30 years later. And now here we are 30 years after that, and we still need the X-Men, I think, as an outlet to have some of these conversations, and to be a reflection of our world.